Hey guys, let's read Because of Winn Dixie by Kate DiCamillo. Chapter 1. My name is Indian Opal, and last summer my daddy the preacher sent me to the store to get a box of macaroni and cheese and some white rice and 2 tomatoes, and I came back with a dog. This is what happened. I walked into the produce section of the Winn Dixie grocery store to pick out my 2 tomatoes, and I almost bumped right into a store manager. He was standing there all red-faced, screaming and waving his arms around. "Who let this dog in here?" he kept on shouting. "Who let this dirty dog in here?" At first, I didn't see a dog. There was just a lot of vegetables rolling around on the floor. Tomatoes, onions, green peppers, and there was what seemed like a whole army of Winn Dixie employees running around waving their arms just the same way the manager was. Waving his. And then the dog came around the corner. He was a big dog and ugly. He looked like he was having a really good time. His tongue hanging out and he was wagging his tail. He skipped and stopped and smiled right at me. I never before in my life seen a dog smile, but that is what he did. He pulled back his lips and showed me all his teeth. Then he wagged his tail so hard that he knocked over oranges on the display. And they went rolling everywhere, mixing with the tomatoes and onions and green peppers. The manager screamed, "Somebody grab that dog!" The dog went running over to the manager, wagging his tail, smiling. He stood up on his hind legs. You could tell that all he wanted was to get face to face with the manager and thank him for such a good time he was having in the produce department. But somehow he ended up knocking the manager over, and the manager must have been having a bad day because he was lying there on the floor right in front of everybody. He started crying. The dog leaned over him real concerned and licked his face. "Please," said the manager, "somebody call the pound." "Wait a minute," I hollered. "That's my dog. Don't call the pound." All the Winn Dixie employees turned around and looked at me, and I knew I had done something big and maybe stupid too. But I couldn't help it. I couldn't let that dog go to the pound. "Here, boy," I said. The dog stopped licking the manager's face and put his ears up in the air and looked at me like he was trying to remember where he knew me from. "Here, boy," I said again. And then I figured that the dog was probably just like everybody else in the world, that he would want to get called by a name. Only I didn't know what his name was, so I just said the first name that came into my head. I said, "Here, Winn Dixie." And that dog came trotting over to me like he had been doing his whole life. The manager sat up and gave me a hard stare, like maybe I was making fun of him. "It's his name?" "It's his name," I said honestly. I said, honest. The manager, "Don't you know not to bring a dog in the grocery store?" "Yes, sir," I told him. "He got in by mistake. I'm sorry. It won't happen again." "Come on, Winn Dixie," I said to the dog. I started walking and he followed along behind me as I went out to the produce department and down the cereal aisles and past the cashier and out the door. Once we were safe, I checked him over real carefully, and he didn't look that good. He was big but skinny. You could see his ribs, and there were bald patches all over him, places where he have any fur that at all. Mostly he looked like a piece of old brown carpet that had been left out in the rain. You are a mess. You're a mess. I told him, I bet you don't belong to anybody. He smiled at me. He did that thing where he pulled back his lips and showed me all his teeth. He smiled so big that it made him sneeze. It was like he was saying, I know I'm a mess. Isn't it funny? It's hard to not intimidate, fall in love, and fall in love with a dog who has a good sense of humor. Come on, I told him. Let's see what the preacher has to say about you. And the two of us, me and Winn Dixie, started walking home. Chapter 2. Okay guys, if you like this video, go down below and give this video a like. And if you want more of this reading because of Winn Dixie content, I subscribe and hit the notification bell because that will give me a notification that you want more of this content. And I love y'all so much. Peace out.